Welcome, greetings, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whether you are watching this live or you are catching us on the replay. I just want to send you greetings from the entire chapter of ICF Tennessee. We are so pleased to have you join us today. I am Joyce Kyles. I am the secretary for our board of directors for ICF Tennessee, and I am also a member of our DEIB committee. So it is my personal and professional pleasure to welcome each and every one of you here today. And I am joined by our very lovely president-elect, Ms. Anna Walker. I am so excited to be able to have this fireside chat with you today, Anna. This is Black History Month, and ICF10 has decided to close out the month by uplifting the voices of our Black coaches. And so this Kaleidoscope of Perspectives is going to be part of our DEIB initiatives. So all year long, you will be hearing the perspectives of different voices of coaches. This month, because it is Black History Month, we've decided to kick it off with us as the Black voices to uplift in this space and just share our perspectives. So I'm just going to jump right in. I'm going to allow Ms. Anna Walker to share a bit about who she is, how she came into this DEIB journey, and just also to let us know, why did you become a coach? So Anna, the floor is yours. Take it away, and thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Joyce. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm so grateful to be here with you today and excited to talk about this most important and relevant topic. I'm so proud of the work that you and your team are doing in DEIB to raise awareness and to educate and help us to be more mindful as coaches the importance of DEIB. I started coaching, some years ago now, about 5, not too many, but I was actually in underwriting for many years. And then I transitioned from there to start my own business because I just decided, I was not happy, and I thought there's something more calling. So I decided to quit my job, which later in life I said I would not necessarily recommend quitting the day job. Before you have it, the passion was drawing me. I had done some DEI work many years before with my previous company on a task force. And so I began to identify this is the work that I really want to do in helping to celebrate differences. And that was back, when affirmative action was really big and we were just transitioning into the diversity space. And so being a part of that task force helped me really realize this is something that I want to do. I want to help people understand how to celebrate differences and how to really make an impact on all cultures and races and gender and all of that. So that was many years ago. And so when I decided to quit my job, I was an image consultant. And so I wanted to help people with their inner and outer image. And so I was doing more consulting work then. I was working with television personalities, celebrities, moms, college grads, anyone who needed coaching services. And so as I began to do the work more, which spanned about 25 years, I began to pay more attention to my clients' inner need, the inner work, the center to circumference work that they began to ask me about. And so it became more than just the outward appearance, more about the inner work that needed to take place. That really birthed my desire to become a coach, is to focus more on that inward work that my clients were really seeking, and then to become more, have a credential to just back up my desire and passion, not just with words, but a credential. So it was Pat White, our own Pat White, that introduced me to Coach U. And I completed that certification program. And so then it just kind of led me to do more work and now in liminal space. I
Okay.
do continue the DEIB work with AARP, a volunteer position diversity lead for our state. So it continues to be a great work. And with Karen Nash, our prior president, and now Brenda Baird at the helm, it's just exciting to have your team to continue the work.
Wow. So see, now I understand. I've always said that you were just as beautiful on the inside as you are the outside. So just hearing that backstory just brings that a more full circle for me. So thank you so much for sharing. Um, for me, just getting in started in this work, it's same as you. It's been a while, but not that many years ago. Just got certified in terms of becoming a master coach here
Mhm.
recently, but I have been teaching, coaching, speaking in some shape, form, or fashion for many years. And so just being able to bring those experiences into this coaching space and what that looks like for me, having been in the South for the biggest part of my life, but actually being born and raised for a good deal of it in the North. So just seeing the different perspectives in the way that people do things, the way they move, the way they operate, the way that they view our different professions. So, regardless to how you may have come into this DEI space, we just want to invite you to just bring your whole selves into it. And I'm so glad to be a part of ICF Tennessee chapter in that even before this became a full-fledged initiative that we launched last month, that ICF Tennessee has already been ahead of the curve, if you will, with bringing these different types of perspectives and ideals to the chapter, even before we made the official launch last year. So we've been doing it for a while, and we just invite you to be a part of this and join in the discussion. So again, thank you for being here. I'm Joyce Kyles, Joyce Kyles Consulting, and I am the secretary of in the Tennessee chapter of ICF-10, and I'm also a member of our DEIB committee. So I'm just going to move this on along just a bit more, and let's just do a deeper dive. So Anna, you said that you decided because that you saw an inner need to do this work and become a coach, and you said, don't quit your job. You would not recommend it, but I can tell that it is a decision that you're happy that you made. So if you don't mind just sharing with us a bit about some of the barriers that you have experienced, maybe some of the obstacles or challenges, but then also some of the rewards that you've seen as a Black coach.
I think some of the challenges of doing what you love is you tend to give it away. It's difficult
Mm,
sometimes to say, oh, set guidelines and structure and all of
mhm,
that to your coaching practice. And so I remember it was a very important turning point for me when I was coaching and I was trying to build my client base.
mhm,
And this potential client asked me about a problem that she had. So I
mhm.
was sharing with her and I was going on and on and on and on. And she said, well, now why would I hire you if you just told me everything I needed to do and you took about, 20 minutes? And
Wow.
I thought, oh my gosh, that is so true. And so she was like, next time, be able to share what you love, what you do, but be mindful that it's a business. It's not a hobby anymore. It's a business. So transitioning from what I love as a passion to a business was very important to me. And I had to be able to market and package that in a way that was meaningful. And so that was an obstacle because I had to really shift from something in my mind I love to that business. The other thing was
Mhm,
really attracting clients. I was a member of a consulting, image consulting group, coaching group. So hanging out that shingle, really determining what your worth and value is was
mhm,
also a challenge because I knew my worth and value, but did it translate to what others see as my worth and value? That wasn't only as pricing or the monetary aspect of it, but it was really in terms of what I had to offer.
mhm,
So it was a helpful for me to determine what distinguishes me from any other coach in this area. What uniqueness do I bring to the table? So that was to hone in on that. That was a personal challenge for me to do. So
mhm,
I believe that was important for me to hone in on. Now, in this space, it really is helpful for us to understand that diversity is not just about race and gender. And what I do in liminal space coaching, it's always about diversity of thought, diversity of approach, best practices, things that we can bring to the table that once again are the inner work and not necessarily what we see on the outside. So I think it's a challenge sometimes to help people understand the depth of what diversity really is.
Yeah. Oh, wonderful perspectives. Absolutely wonderful. And as you're talking, I'm just thinking so much about how much it resonates with me, the things that you're sharing. Um, I think sometimes for me, the challenge, especially early on, had been was questioning whether or not I was good enough. And sometimes, I'll just say it this way: sometimes being in this skin can be challenging because others don't necessarily always view us in the same way, and thinking that we have the same types of value, that we bring the same energy, the same education, the same lived experiences to the table. And so my experience had been, especially early on, being being made to feel that I have to work twice as hard to be seen, to be heard, to be respected, to have my craft respected. And so being in this space, and specifically with being a part of this particular chapter, just being embraced and accepted, and having the opportunities such as today with leading, this discussion, and having a team of people who trusted me to move forward in this space, that matters. And so just being able to show up as your authentic self sometimes has been a challenge. Today I decided to wear my hair out in more of an afro, and I wore my big eccentric earrings, that are made by a Black jewelry designer, but I know that there have been times and places and spaces where that has not always been welcomed. And so just having to be mindful of how I show up and when I show up, and can I show up as my authentic self. And also, to your point, Anna, you know, DEIB should not just be about race and gender, and it shouldn't be considered buzzwords either.
Yeah.
That's my concern, is that everyone wants to be on the DEIB wagon, but not necessarily put in the work and making sure that everyone does feel equitable and has equality and is included. And so, to that point, I will ask you if you have any resources that you'd share, a particular conference or a book, or someone on LinkedIn that you'd follow, of course, besides following ICF Tennessee chapter. But any suggestions that you have that you would give our viewers?
Yes, I started looking into diversity in my latter uh, coaching years. I think that maybe about 6 or 7 years ago, and I joined a consortium of diversity strategists, as well as began to attend diversity conferences, and that's the Culture Shift team. And you can Google that Culture Shift, and they have a variety of resources, conferences, sessions, and they have a Tennessee local chapter. That was my primary resource that I used, and they have very in-depth topics. You mentioned something a minute ago about buzzwords. Um, it's important to also know that you can't just check the box and say, yes, I have a diversity strategy. I have a diversity initiative. That is not just checking the box. You mentioned taking action, very important. I think, and I too, my attire is from my travels in South Africa. And so we are very mindful and always have to be mindful that when we show up, we do have to break down certain stereotypes. We learned that as an early age. We can't just say, oh, put your best foot forward and you'll be seen in a different light. No, because we're guilty until proven innocent, right?
Right.
And being a double minority, there are certain things that we do have to overcome. And unfortunately, it's still prevalent, but that is where education and raising awareness comes in. As coaches, there are base camps. There are things that we are doing on a global basis with ICF to help us better understand the initiatives that ICF specifically is doing in the coaching space. So I'd encourage coaches to log in into ICF Global and see all the amazing work that Lakeisha is doing in the DEIB space. Say that 3 times fast in that space.
I
But
know.
I say that in all seriousness. When I started, it was diversity, then diversity and inclusion. Now we've added equity and belonging. So, but it's very important to be mindful that belonging is a very important part of diversity. And so when people feel as if they belong, then they are the awareness not only is raised, but they also feel like their voice is heard. And
Yeah.
that's the important part of belonging, that their voice is heard no matter what. And so those are the two primary resources that I will share. I could go on and on, but
Yeah.
those are the two that I'll share.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm sure our viewers do as well. And I will add to that. I would encourage those of you that, utilize Google, utilize technology, and any of these other platforms that you, Bing and whatever you use as your search engines, but also in our social media spaces. Just put in DEIB, put in coaching, put in consultants, and see who's doing what in your field. I think sometimes that we make this more difficult than it has to be, when it's just a matter of it's not necessarily about the pen and paper anymore, that we have so many resources that are available literally at our fingertips. So just look it up and start with your social media platforms. LinkedIn specifically has been an excellent resource for me in terms of connecting with like-minded individuals who share the spaces that I am most interested in. And then just don't be afraid to reach out and just say, I am, for instance, I'm Joyce Kyles. I'm looking to expand my knowledge. I'm looking to expand my network, looking to connect further, and just start the conversation. I think sometimes we're just afraid to just open our mouths and just speak up for
Yeah,
what it is that we need, want, and desire. So I would
I
strongly
agree.
encourage that. So I know we are starting to get down to towards the end of our time together. So a couple of things that I do want to lift up with you, Anna, and that is for you to just share things that you have found in this coaching space as a woman of color to be exciting, and what would you say to encourage those who may either be in coaching or are listening and thinking about that big leap in coaching? What would you say to them?
I would say to them, no matter where you are in life, your contribution matters. It doesn't matter if you're starting out now, you've been a coach for many years. What you do matter. Your contribution really does matter in the world in which we live in. You can make a difference and an impact. And I want people to also understand, particularly those who are people not of color, that diversity impacts them as well. There are certain cultural biases and microaggressions that we all feel. And again, if we say diversity, please don't think this doesn't apply to me. As a woman of color, I do believe that it's important for our voice to be heard. I think it's important for us to begin to raise the level of awareness, educate and train, not be fearful of sharing those differences. Like you spoke about your hair and where your jewelry is from, not only the outward things, but the inward things that really matter in terms of what makes us who we are, celebrating those differences, establishing a belief system. I would tell coaches to dig deep, to do the work, to do the inner work that it takes in order to excavate and understand who you are as a person. Because once you understand who you are, that confidence and foundation is built to do anything that you aspire to do. So I encourage all coaches to be mindful of the diversity space that they can involve themselves in. It doesn't. You don't have to be a person of color. You can be one who wants to celebrate differences, wants to have your voice heard, and wants to make a difference in the coaching community.
Very well said. Thank you so much for your time and for sharing your insights with us, Anna. It is my personal and professional honor that you've given us this time in this space to be able to share. I will definitely ditto everything that you just said. I think the only other thing that I would want to add is just understanding that a win of celebrating one culture is a win in celebration for all cultures. It is so important for us to understand who we are, what is our origin story, and be willing and have an open mind to look deeper, look beyond the skin tone, look beyond the hair, look at the experience, really, that which touches the heart reaches the heart. And so I would encourage each and every one of you who is tuned in with us today to think about where you are and what you want to see and be the change that you want to see in the world. If diversity is important to you, equity, inclusion, and as we talked about belonging, and that's how I'm going to wrap this up, because actually now we're thinking more about justice. So now
Mhm.
we're looking at DEIBJ and including justice as a part of that. And if everyone has that same ideal, that same mindset, that same spirit of what it truly means to belong, I think the world would just be a better place. And so these types of conversations, these types of chats won't feel so hard to have. They will just be normal ways of us to be able to communicate, to share, to have an exchange of ideas. So as we wrap up, I am just so excited to let you know that our DEIB committee has a slew of things coming down the pike. So just know that we will have more cultural events to take place throughout the year. We are looking forward to our Spaces to Be, which is our special interest group that encourages individuals to just come and be in a safe space to talk and chat and share. We want you to be a part of our DEIB committee. So you see on your screen, it's DEIB at ICFTN.org. Excuse me. So if you are interested in any aspect of what we are doing as a committee, we would love to have you join us. And if you're already a part of ICFTN and you're looking for a committee to be a part of and jump right in, I know I speak for the rest of our committee when I say we would love, love, love to have you. So I am going to close this out for us today by uplifting the voice of one of our former coaches. She unexpectedly made her earthly transition a few months ago. But her voice, her message, her passion forever lives. She was our colleague. She was our friend. She was really close and dear friend to me and was also a mentor coach for me. Her name was Sherilyn, or is Sherilyn Payton. And so what we'd like to do is to close out today's session with a short video clip that she made this time last year, and it was on belonging. And because she was a Black coach, we felt it was appropriate to close our program out today with you all by allowing you to hear her voice. Again, if you'd like to join us, we would love to have you. So check out ICFTN.org to learn more about the chapter itself and to find out about us specifically and join our committee. It's DEIB at ICFTN.org. And at this time, we'd like to close out our program with a short clip from our one and only Miss Sherilyn Payton.
Thank you.
My name is Sherilyn Payton. I am the Professional Development Director for ICF Tennessee. I am excited to be celebrating Black History Month with you, and I'm even more excited that our chapter has chosen to do this series celebrating Black voices in ICF Tennessee leadership as a way of demonstrating its commitment to diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. I'd like to lift up that particular aspect of our commitment, belonging. And I'd like to invite you, each of you, particularly the coaches out there, to think about how belonging and one of our core competencies of cultivating safety and trust with our clients is so in alignment with this creating belonging within our organizations and institutions, but particularly within our chapter here. And it just makes sense. So if you think about what competency is asking us to do, and that is to consider our clients in the context of their identity. That means their lived experience, their environment, their values, their beliefs, their culture. So many other things are required as we look at the whole individual and invite them into a space. So I want to just applaud ICF Tennessee, and I want to give the leadership of ICF Tennessee its kudos for realizing that belonging is a key component and that we can all do this because we've committed to it through our ICF Tennessee core competencies. So I look forward to having you consider our chapter. I look forward to having those coaches who are out there already practicing be more committed to this particular core competency as we all grow, share, change, thrive, and transform the world together.
Thank you so much for tuning in today. Anna, love your talk. I want to make
Thank
sure I
you.
acknowledge that. Thank you to every
Thank
single
you.
person that has chimed in and offered your words of encouragement,
Yes.
support, and please know you belong in ICF Tennessee. You belong in any and all parts that we have to offer with our chapter. Please make sure that you reach out to us, join us, share this information with others, and let us work together in this space of diversity, equity, inclusion, belonging, and justice. I'm Joyce Kyles. Anna Walker,
And I'm Anna Walker. Thank you all again.
thank you.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.